Hi, I'm Chike Coleman. That's Chuck Koplinski of the Illinois Times, and I'm part of Sound on Sight. This is Real Reviews, the Cinematic Underground, the show where we talk about the movies that come out each week. And this week, it's the day after Halloween. We're heading into slow Thanksgiving territory. We saw two films, or at least I saw two films. The first of which is Listen Up, Phillip, starring Jason Schwartzman, Elizabeth Moss, Christian Ritter, and I forget what the guy's name is. Jonathan Pryce. The film is based around an author named Phillip, who is essentially a very conceited, self-interested a-hole of an author who...
He's a dick.
Yeah, he's a serious just a-hole. And I hate to say this. I started out the movie hating him, and my personality adjusted to be like, oh, this is what this is. I don't hate him. I just want to see what his journey is. And then I found out there was none, really. And I think that's what really bothered me about this film.
What's it about, though?
Well, it's about an author who is, I guess what the word would be, struggling to get his second book promoted. But he's also very self-interested in himself and wants everything to go his way. And he has a girlfriend who's a photographer played by Elizabeth Moss, who is also having her own conflicts with the idea of what her relationship is with this author. They go through this kind of on and off thing throughout the entire film, and Kristen Ritter plays the daughter of his idol who invites him to get some peace of mind by going to his cottage, and the events unfold in that manner. And basically what we get is a bunch of connected but yet disjointed conversations about what it means to be a person in this world. Or at least that's how I saw it.
Okay.
Go ahead, what do you think?
Well, there's a bit more to it than that.
I didn't really feel that it
Well,
was.
plot-wise, I mean, he gets a job teaching at a college up when he's staying at this cottage with his mentor. It's interesting that the second half of the film breaks into like a triptych of stories in which the filmmaker devotes, large chunks of time to the three main characters.
Yeah,
the author,
you do get to see different points of view, and that is interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know why he did that. I mean, the change happens very abruptly and for no reason at all.
You really get no transition. That's the other weird part about it. It's just, oh, now we're on to this character.
The problem with the movie, I think, is I want to focus. The Schwartzman character does not change at all over the course of the film, and neither does the Jonathan Pryce character, his mentor. They're one-note characters. I mean, they are jerks. They are geniuses, they're insufferable, and they expect everyone to rotate around them. The most interesting character is the Elizabeth Moss character, the girlfriend, because she has to make certain choices about her life, not just where he's concerned, but her career and other issues. And, she has to make these changes, make these decisions, and as a result, she changes over the course of the film. But it doesn't focus on her enough. I think part of the film is basically saying, look, these guys are geniuses, and this is what we have to put up with if we want to be...
successful?
Well, no, not successful, but we have to put up with them in order to enjoy their work. That's the price we pay. We have to pay the price of putting up with their little picadillos and them being jerks in order to appreciate their work, which, on my mind, has always been a crappy argument to begin with. I don't mind main characters who are unlikable. I don't have a problem with that. But you need to give me a reason as to why they're unlikable. I need some background as to how they got to this point, not just here they are, deal with them, they're not going to change. That becomes very dull. I kept thinking of two films as I was watching this. I kept thinking of There Will Be Blood, the great film with Daniel Day-Lewis, who is a completely unlikable character. But at least we see early on how he became this way, why he is the way he is. That makes it much more moving to me, because then the unlikable character is a tragedy. Then you have
sympathy for him.
It's a tragedy, because you could see this, I can see the decisions you made, and I can see what you could have been, but this is the results. This is a tragedy. We don't get any of that here.
Yeah, and one of the things I was going to say is that I ended up watching Moss's character a lot more than I watched
She's
Schwartzman's.
much more interesting.
Because I was like, okay, let him be nasty to her because I want to see how she reacts to this
Right.
and where she's going to go with it. What journey does this take her on? Is she going to realize that he's awful and move on to someone else? Is she going to just delve deep into her passion for photography? What's she going to do?
That's the movie.
And
Unfortunately, they don't make that movie.
They really don't.
Yeah.
They really just, in my opinion, I saw it in this way. I saw Schwartzman as the young version of his idol.
Sure, yeah.
And
They're the same
Price as
character.
the old version of his of that same character. And I just said, there's no point to these two. You could take one out and it'd still be a good movie. If you made it so that Jonathan Pryce's character was the lead and Schwartzman wasn't in it at all, but you had somebody like Elizabeth Moss's character idolizing the ideas that were put forth in Price's books, then the film would work the same way, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You would still have the same points of aggravation, same places of conflict. There is one other character that I liked that was there for a second and then gone, and I would have liked to see how that is explored. And it's the girl who is at the photography session when Schwartzman
Who idolizes her.
who idolizes
him, yeah.
Because it seems like when they're having their conversation, and it's very brief, it's like 2 minutes, he softens a bit. There's still that arrogance, but he for that one space of time in the film shows a level of curiosity about someone other than himself.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's another moment later in the movie. He does have a relationship with a fellow teacher at the college.
Right.
And she's interesting as well because it states that she starts off disliking him, tries to undercut him, but eventually falls for him. But it doesn't tell us why. I mean, I can't understand why. Maybe it's the genius, the original attraction. But there's an interesting moment in which they're driving in a car and they're breaking up.
I love that moment.
He says, I know I'm going to regret this, but this is how it has to be. And that seems to be the one moment of self-awareness that he has about his self-destructive character. But we don't explore that at all.
And what's weird is when you first meet her, he says he's changed.
Right.
But you don't see it at all.
He thinks he's changed. But yeah, he hasn't. You know, I think that's the thing. He thinks he's changed, but we know he hasn't.
So I guess the real big question here is, did we like this movie?
I didn't know. and it has nothing to do with the fact that it's about unlikable characters. As I say, and I think you're saying the same thing, it's about the wrong character.
Yeah.
We're not focusing on the character who has the real challenges of, I do love this man, but I know he's no good for me. What do I do?
Also, I would be interested to see, because she's looking through his old writing works and she's saying they suck. So when did his writing process go from what it was to being good?
Exactly.
And they don't explore that at all either, because there's another author who gives him a piece of advice really early on in the film and says, you should do this. And he's like, no, I want to go this way. And then that author ends up killing himself, tragically. And you're like, wait, so this would have probably spurred him on to either A, make a better book, or B, find a way to successfully promote the book he's already selling.
Or follow the same path, become disinterested, and maybe kill himself as well. Although I never see him doing that because he just loves himself too much.
Yeah. And again, we've covered this 3 times over now, but that's the real problem of the film, is that we don't get to know why he loves writing. We don't get to know how his girlfriend started to love him. We get none of those things.
Right.
And all those things would have helped this film become a stronger film.
Yeah, and I think that's what's most frustrating about it is you see the pieces are there. And you know that there are talented people involved here.
Yeah.
Why weren't they developed or fleshed out more? A frustrating movie.
Very frustrating, but I will give it one positive. The music was fantastic.
I don't even remember it. Was it old jazz?
It was old jazz.
Yeah, we like jazz.
Yeah. So I did like that aspect. What would the genre of this film really be called? Because I've seen it. Greta Gerwig did something similar.
Francis Ha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hated that movie too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Self-indulgent schmuck.
Yeah.
Film genre. I don't know.
Yeah, and then there's another director which we've never talked about called Joe Swanberg, who does these types of small little niche of life films where the conversations really don't matter. 'Cause you
How
don't
about
really
Characters Adrift?
that works.
Maybe that's the genre. Characters Adrift.
Yeah. These little niche corner films where they're giving you an environment but not giving you much context to why the characters matter.
Well, I think that these films could be criticized in a way that Woody Allen's films used to be criticized, in that they're made for a very small segment of the population. Erudite, rich, upper class New Yorkers. That's who these films are made about. That's who these films are for. And perhaps because of that, we can't really relate to it or get exactly what they're talking about. But you just using the word, niche films, that's exactly what they are.
Yeah, and there are those films out there that are micro-budget films like this, shot in the same style that do the execution of who characters are much better than this.
Well, I think that you could throw in Lena Dunham's film Tiny Furniture,
absolutely.
Into this as well. I mean, very much a rarefied piece of society. I think, and I think the genre they call those are mumblecore.
Mumblecore, that's it. Yeah.
I don't know if this would be mumblecore because you're supposed to be ultra low budget, using people actually friends and family. It's a much more insular thing, but it does have that feel.
It really does. And one thing I do want to mention about Tiny Furniture is that although you're annoyed with the things that Lena Dunham's character does throughout the film, you're interested to watch her go on the journey, and she does talk about that journey throughout her work. That's the one negative I have about Girls, is it's filled with more complaining than showing me the journey.
Well, they're girls.
Yeah. All right.
Young
so that's our opinion of Listen Up, Phillip. It's at the Art Theater right now.
Mercifully only for a week.
Thank God for that. The next film that I want to talk about today is that yesterday, which is October 31st, was Halloween, and it was also the 10th anniversary of Saw, which came out in 2004.
Boy, it sure seems a lot longer than that.
God,
it seems much longer
like
than 10
30 years, really. It really does.
I mean, and that when it was announced 10th anniversary release, then it occurred to me just how quickly they cranked out all those sequels. To have all those within just a 10-year period is remarkable.
They had 8 films within a 10-year period.
That's astounding. And the quality reflects that.
Yeah.
How quickly they churned them out.
I mean, the first 3, flawless, great films. Stop there. Didn't. They went 5 more.
There were 8 of them?
There were 8 of them.
I need to look this up because I don't believe you.
Look this up.
I'm going to look it up. I don't believe
I think there were 8 of them.
There were 8. Go ahead. Keep talking.
So, Saw is the story of these 2 people.
Hey, I saw it.
Carrie Elwood.
Elwes.
I can never say that right.
It's kind of a weird name.
Elwes, and then another guy who never went on to do anything.
That's not true. He's a writer. He was one of the writers of Saw. He also wrote the Insidious films.
Wait.
Leigh Whannell.
Wait. Oh my God, really?
Yeah, he's a writer, not
That
so much
was
an actor.
him?
Yeah, that was him.
Oh, I never knew. That changes the entire film for me.
Uh-huh.
So these 2 men are trapped in a bathroom with chains on their ankles and what?
There were 6.
6?
Yeah.
Does that include the final chapter?
Saw 3D final chapter. Oh, you're right. 7. My
7.
bad. My bad.
So yeah. Basically, these 2 men are trapped with steel anklets, and this voice. You want to play a game? Comes on and says, "You 2 are really not great people. So I'm going to give you a chance at redemption. Find a way out of the chains you're in, and you'll be free to do whatever you want, or just stay and die." And throughout the film, we're trying to figure out, okay, who is this guy? But within 5 minutes, we're told who it is, and we're thinking, oh, okay. So all these guys have to do is get out of this chain, and it ends up being something gruesome.
Well, I mean, don't they have to hack their leg off?
They do, yeah.
I mean, I've only seen this once, and it's been a while ago, but I do remember it.
And these cops are on the trail of Jigsaw trying to figure out why he did the things he did. Your flashback to other people who were imprisoned in a similar fashion, and watch their deaths occur in grisly fashion. At the end of the film, it's revealed to you what the whole point of the whole thing was, and you're like, That's ingenious. Why didn't that happen before? And that spawned 6 sequels. Chuck, what was your opinion?
I love your partial summaries of movies, by the way. They are genius.
Is that a compliment or a smack in the face?
I don't know. Think about it. I'll let you mull. You mull. I remember when I saw it and knowing how quickly it was shot and with the micro budget they had, I remember being impressed with it. Knowing what they were working with, I was like, this is not bad. This is a pretty sharp little film. Vicious movie.
Yeah, very vicious.
Vicious film. But the one thing I liked about it was, and I always love films about redemption, because these characters you're talking about are there for a reason. They're there because of something they've done in their past that they need to be reminded of, and then it's like, oh no, now I understand. And they have to face this, this crisis of conscience and make a decision as to whether they should pay for it or not. And the price, of course, is pretty high. So I did like that angle. It wasn't just a mindless slasher film. There was something going on there. Obviously, with this film, and increasingly so with all of them, you have to suspend your, sense of disbelief because these traps, these games that Jigsaw puts them in, become increasingly complex and increasingly unrealistic.
Really, yeah, they just get more gruesome for the sake of being gruesome.
But the first one was modest in its approach, and I like the Danny Glover character that you didn't mention. He's on the outside trying to piece things together.
True.
And I thought that was an interesting aspect as well. We're not just stuck in the room. And I like the fact that it was low budget and had that gritty feel to it. I think horror films have lost that. I've been thinking lately of things like, because it's always Halloween, I always think of these things. The early 70s films like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Last House on the Left, which I don't like. And others of that era, you can tell they were made for nothing, and the film has a gritty feel to it and a look to it. And that, I think, adds to the horror of it. And this had that.
Yeah.
Even though it was shot on video, I think this still had that dingy, dirty look to it, which was a great appeal. And of course, they lose that as they get more money with the sequels.
Exactly. But for me, the real selling of, and why I got through all 7 films, I don't know how
Wow,
I did it.
I don't know how.
I loved it for the twist. You always wanted to see, okay, what was the purpose of all these characters getting all these things done?
Yeah, what was the thing in their past?
Yeah. What was the thing in their past, and what is it leading to? And the final film really punches you in the face.
I'll have to take your word for it.
Do you want me to tell you what happened?
No, not really. Who knows? Maybe I'll get laid up in traction someday and have time and watch them all. Okay.
Sounds good. So I wanted to talk to you about a bunch of news that was released this week.
Hang on. Let's go back to Saw, though, real quick. It's in 10th anniversary. It's in release. Is it worth watching again, I guess is the question.
Well, that entirely depends on how much you love a good mystery and if you don't mind gore, because there is a fair amount.
Yeah. I would say it is worth seeing again, especially because there really isn't a new horror film out for Halloween.
That really would capture the imagination of audiences, like Paranormal Activity
I
or
agree.
anything like that.
I agree.
I would say, here's my reasoning behind going to see it. Go see it again, especially if you haven't seen it in 10 years.
And go with a crowd. Films like this work better with a crowd.
Especially, can you imagine what teenagers would feel watching this for the first time?
I don't know. I would assume they've already seen it, but I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows?
They would have been 6 or 7 at the time. I doubt it.
Yeah, I know, but with cable and everything, I mean anything, they see so many things anymore.
I hate to say that, but it's true. Yeah. It's so true. But yeah, go see that film. It's at Savoy 16 IMAX, and it's also at the Carmack 13. So now I want to talk to you about the news of the week, because there's been a lot since we've been last on. So a dream of mine came true. Neil Patrick Harris has been announced as the host for Oscars 2015.
Okay.
He's kind of like the ultimate showman, so I'm really excited and encouraged to see what he's able to do with it.
He doesn't make movies, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that he's not that strong at movies now.
So why is he hosting the Oscars?
Because he's got a proven track record with award shows.
Great.
So that's interesting and fun for me. I don't know who the writers are going to be for the Oscars. They use the same stupid writing team every year. So
the writers aren't the problem. It's the producers.
Really? Okay.
Producers are the problem with that show. They're the ones who dictate how many dance and musical sequences we get. They're the ones who dictate what the themes are for the movie clip montages, which there are never enough of. It's the producers of the problems, not the writers. And even though I'm not a fan of this kid, he is pretty sharp, and I'm sure that he's going to write some of his materials well. So.
I hope so, because when he does write his own material, it gets hilarious, especially when he has an opening and a closing number recapping everything that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So the other big piece of news is Marvel laid down.
Marvel? You are excited.
Yes, Marvel laid down the gauntlet this past week.
Oh, I see what you did there. Look what you did. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Aren't you smart?
Some days. Marvel laid down the gauntlet this past week and unveiled their entire Phase 3 slate of films.
Well, I sure hope there's not a change in the works, because I don't know what they're going to do if something happens.
Well, you never know.
Yeah.
So the films that were announced for release in Phase 3 start with Captain America Civil War.
Which would be Captain America 3.
Yeah, which will be Captain America 3. And then it is, let me see if I can get this right. I want to say it's Thor Ragnarok is next?
I am pulling up a Marvel movies timeline, because such a grid is now necessary with everything that they're doing. Because, yeah, it's out of control. It really is.
It's insane now.
It is insane. But yes, I am looking. Nope, that's not the one I want. There are so many of these timelines.
Yeah,
now,
I know.
And we have to see which one actually takes into account the new movies that you are talking about.
I'm pulling up the DC Cinematic Universe so we can do
I just found a Marvel DC movie timeline.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that it pulls up. It's from the MTV.
Ooh.
And so there we go. Okay, that's the one we're looking for. Okay. And there's another couple pieces of news I've heard that I want to run by you.
Okay.
Because I don't know if they're true or not. But what were you saying? You were saying the Captain America 3.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The Captain America 3 I have for March 6, 2016. And that is after Ant-Man and Avengers 2, which are in 2015.
Which I'm excited for. And then after that, what's next?
This has not been updated because it says untitled Marvel film. So I need to go back to the drawing board. But I think you are correct. I think it's Thor 3.
Thor Ragnarok. And
Ragnarok.
then,
I love saying that.
And then I think it's Captain... Oh. No, it's Captain America 3. Then Black Panther gets his movie in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Marvel is in the same year as that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get Avengers War of...
I think it's
my brain.
There's
so
Age
many,
of Ultron, and then we have Infinity War.
Yeah, Age of Ultron, and then Infinity Wars in 2018 and 2019, Part 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
After that, that's the conclusion of the slate, I think. But they're not coming out together. It's separate.
Uh-huh. All right, here we go. Rock and roll. I got it right here. Phase 3.
Yeah.
Captain America Civil War 2016. Doctor Strange 2016. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 2017. Thor 3 2017. Black Panther 2017. 2017 is going to be a huge year.
Yeah.
Avengers Infinity War Part 1 2018. Captain Marvel 2018. Inhumans 2018. Avengers Infinity War Part 2 2019. Interesting, I didn't realize this until someone else told me, but I didn't realize the Captain Marvel film was going to be the female character.
I found that out when they mentioned it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm happy with it. It's fine. I don't really care one way or the other because I don't know much about the character.
Okay.
What do you think?
I don't know. I guess they have to go that route. I was thinking, though, it would be the original Captain Marvel, who is a space character, which I think would have tied in better with the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Infinity War stuff, obviously, because we're headed towards more cosmic adventures.
Maybe he makes a cameo and dies.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
So that's the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
So what were you thinking? What else did you want to say about these films? And especially, I know one of your favorites has been cast as Doctor Strange.
I don't want Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. I would have preferred someone else. I gave you a list of people when I sent you an email. Did any of those seem like plausible choices?
Some of them, not John Hamm. I think you mentioned him.
Yeah, I did mention
And I
him.
don't see that at all. He's far too contemporary and far too normal. You need somebody quirky.
Okay.
I know that with John Wick being out, people had been talking about
Keanu would be
Reeves,
okay.
and I think that would have been a great choice.
And that's one of the ones I mentioned.
I would have loved him, and I would have loved Depp.
Yeah. Both would have lent themselves well to that role.
I'm glad they didn't go the Ethan Hawke route.
I'm
Not
glad
that
they
I
didn't
don't.
do Ethan Hawke or Walking Phoenix.
Yeah, not that I think Phoenix would have been fine, but Hawke to me again, he's too contemporary and too normal. You know, you need somebody a little bit quirky. Black Panther, a welcome addition. That's going to be cool.
And they chose a person that I liked,
Oh,
though.
perfect.
Chadwick Boseman.
Perfect. I've been impressed with him in both of the films I've seen him in.
Yeah.
A great choice, no doubt.
Great
You know what? And even anymore, if there are movies that they're going to make or people that they cast that I disagree with, it doesn't matter
Because they're going to surprise you anyway.
Well, I've been eating crow on other things that I've disagreed with them with, and it's all played out perfectly. So they know what they're doing, obviously.
They really do. And it's surprising that a studio this young could not only get the talent that they do, but also get stories that are strong enough to support their cinematic slate.
Well, you know, but I think the key to this has been, and this is where DC has blundered, is that the Marvel films have people who also work in the comic books. They know the characters, they know what to do with them, and that has made the difference.
And they know how to make the adjustments too. That's the other thing.
Exactly, from one medium to the other. So that has been the whole key to this, and let's hope that DC, with their films, which they announced, go that route as well. And that was a big announcement, and I know you're not as excited about these, but still, they are worth mentioning.
What, the DC?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm not. I mean, Henry Cavill, good choice as Superman, fine.
Yeah, okay.
Ben Affleck as Batman, still the jury's not out on that yet.
I think he's going to be fine.
The fact that they chose, we need to talk about Kevin's, what's his name?
Kevin who?
The actor from We Need to Talk About Kevin and...
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember his name, and he's great.
For which character? The Kevin character?
He's the Flash in the DC Cinematic Universe. And so there's that. There's going to be another Green Lantern film, of course.
Yep.
A Cyborg film. Who have no idea who they're going to cast for that. I know who I would.
They've already cast him. Some young kid I'd never heard of.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I would have preferred them use the recently departed Lee Thompson Young, as he played that character before on Smallville.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I have no idea who you're talking about.
He was an actor in Rizzoli and Isles, and he was on the Disney Channel show The Famous Jet Jackson.
Speaking of TV, superhero things, I love The Flash. I love The Flash.
Oh, we can talk about that for a minute, because I am with you on that camp. Grant Gustin, seriously?
Boy, he's great.
Like, the kid is perfect.
Yes.
He has all the vulnerability for when the sad moments need to come when you're thinking about the mom.
Yes.
And all the really kind of cheeky, unsure of himself moments that make him likable.
And I've been effusive about seeing serious superhero films. I like when things go dark, but this is so much fun.
It's a perfect.
It's so fun.
It's peanut butter and jelly. Let's
great.
just be honest about that. It's peanut butter
great
and jelly.
stuff. And it's a show I can watch with my son, who's 10. We both enjoy it. They did a great intro for Captain Cold, Wentworth Miller.
Oh man,
that
was
whole
great.
episode was great, and his casting is perfect. I look forward to this show every week, and I am surprised that I'm saying that.
Can I ask you a question about one of the most recent episodes? What was your opinion on Felicity Smoke?
First off, I wanted to slap him in the face and say, really? You're turning, yeah, she's great too. And obviously I'm wanting to see more of her. And I know she's in Arrow.
That's the reason number one why you need to see Arrow. She's not in it very early on. And
that dress she had on,
Dear,
my God.
Dear Lord, just.
Yeah.
Yes.
Freeze frame time.
Okay, so that's our show for today.
Right. More Flash coming.
Yes. Let's hope that they continue the trend with the Flash and bring in great villains. They had the Weather Wizard in the first
Right,
episode as
right.
well.
And maybe next time we talk about Gotham a little bit too.
Oh, you watch Gotham?
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to have to let me know if that's any good. For now, I'm Chike Coleman of Sound On Sight. That's Chuck Koplinski of the Illinois Times. Read his reviews at theillinoistimes.com.
And News Gazette.
And News Gazette. Find my reviews on soundonsight.org, where I talk about Arrow and The Flash, hopefully. And we'll see you next week with more movies and more movie reviews. Bye.